This is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News9, English news as it should be.
Hello and a very warm welcome. Thanks for tuning in to your favorite news destination. You're watching In Your Interest. And on the show and our segment tonight, a focused and detailed understanding of what's really happening in the Delhi educational circles. You're watching this special broadcast where we're unpacking a controversy that's igniting debates from classrooms to corridors of power. The RSS is entering school curricula across Delhi government schools. The RSS, India's most influential cultural organization, has turned 100 years old. And the milestone couldn't be timed tighter with a curriculum storm in the heart of the capital. Even as Prime Minister Narendra Modi attends the grand centenary celebrations, Delhi government has announced that the rich history of RSS will be integrated into the syllabus from kindergarten right up till class 12. That's right. The origins, the ideology, and service efforts of the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh will now be part of the curriculum. Highlights, of course, include spotlights on RSS-linked leaders like former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee and the current Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And get this, special Rashtra Niti classes are scheduled for the first and the third Saturdays of every month.
राष्ट्र साधना की इस यात्रा में ऐसा नहीं है कि संघ पर हमले नहीं हुए, संघ के खिलाफ साजिशें नहीं हुई। हमने देखा है कैसे आजादी के बाद भी संघ को कुचलने का प्रयास हुआ, मुख्य धारा में आने देने का और उसे न आने से रोकने का अनगिनत षड्यंत्र हुए। जिसने कभी कटुता को जन्म नहीं दिया, वो है प्रत्येक स्वयंसेवक का लोकतंत्र और संवैधानिक संस्थाओं में अडिग विश्वास।
जो दिल्ली की नई सरकार बनी है, उसने तय किया है कि आरएसएस का इतिहास भी छात्रों को पढ़ाया जाए। तो इसमें तो मुझे नहीं लगता कि किसी को कोई एतराज होगा कि कोई भी संस्था जो इतिहास का हिस्सा रही है उसको आप स्टूडेंट्स को पढ़ाएं। जैसे अकबर को पढ़ाया जाता है, सम्राट अशोक को पढ़ाया जाता है, नादिर शाह को पढ़ाया जाता है, हिटलर को पढ़ाया जाता है, महात्मा गांधी को पढ़ाया जाता है, सबको पढ़ाया जाता है। तो इनको भी पढ़ाया जाना चाहिए, मगर हमारी सिर्फ एक ही निवेदन है कि सच्चाई बताई जाए।
But Delhi isn't alone in this shift. Critics claim saffron influence is spreading like wildfire, especially in BJP-governed states. Flashback to 2016. In Rajasthan, under Vasundhara Raje, the revised syllabus echoed RSS ideals. Fast forward to Madhya Pradesh, where Chief Minister Mohan Yadav's government has infused 88 RSS-inspired texts into colleges and schools. Over in Uttar Pradesh, Yogi Adityanath's administration has scrubbed references to Mughals, the emergency, and caste struggles from their books. And in Karnataka, back in 2020, the BJP trimmed down Tipu Sultan's role whilst boosting the entire Vijayanagara empire. Is this coordinated effort to rewrite history or just trimming the fat for a more relevant education? Well, now let's also weigh in on the arguments coming from both the sides. On the one side, supporters argue that this reduces syllabus overload. aligns with the National Education Policy 2020's focus on skills, corrects what they call colonial or leftist biases, and fosters national unity and patriotism. Fair points in a diverse country like ours, right? But critics aren't buying it. They warn of pushing an RSS BJP worldview, omitting uncomfortable truths like the RSS bans or the 2002 riots promoting Hindu nationalism, and undermining our secular fabric. Could this now lead to communal bias in impressionable minds, the young kids out there, right from kindergarten to class 12? That's the million-rupee question. And let's not forget the RSS shadow on the Modi-era policies. Take the FDI in retail. The government allowed 100% in single brand, but with RSS's intervention, Kirana stores were protected. On Swadeshi and self-reliance initiatives like the 2 lakh crore rupee production linked incentive scheme and the Vocal for Local campaigns echo RSS calls to bolster and embolden MSMEs. Remember the post-Galwan boycotts of Chinese goods? It was straight out of the RSS shakhas. Even during the Farm Bill saga, Mohan Bhagwat urged dialogue during protests, paving the way for their repeal. Love it or question it, the RSS's imprint is undeniable. We've got an informed set of panelists with us on the broadcast, and the big questions that we're trying to ask and decode on the show tonight. Is teaching RSS history educational or a political project? Where do we draw the line between curriculum, its reform, and the ideological control that comes around with it? With us on the broadcast, Professor Sangeet Kumar Ragi, author and columnist. Many thanks for joining us, sir. Somnath Bharti, spokesperson for the Aam Aadmi Party. Always a pleasure to have you. Dr. Jyoti Gupta, Director and Principal, KR Mangalam World School, and Director, Sri Ram Universal School, an educationist amongst us. And Karan Verma, political analyst, also with us on the broadcast. Professor Ragi, let me quickly come to you. You know, critics are calling this move saffronization. What's your perspective on the entire take? Is teaching RSS history a corrective step to balance the decades of Congress era distortions in textbooks? Is this really an issue? Why are people now suddenly talking about it?
First of all, the biggest fraud in this country has been looking at India from the secular communal binary. India cannot be understood in terms of the secular communal binary, and this is what has been, this kind of ideological impregnation has taken place in last 70 years of this country, post-independent Germany. The left converge on one thing, that they never have appreciated India and India's historical past. They never have appreciated the cultural history of India. Somebody else has to come here and write the wonder that India was. A.L. Basham wrote this. But if you look at the left historiography and the colonial historiography, you will be finding that they are bashing everything what is Indian or in India's past. Similarly, again, I'm giving you a food for thought that they once upon a time they said that what is India? India doesn't have any geography. India is just like the equatorial line, which is imaginary. So India doesn't have any history. India has no territory. Remember that if you look at Vishnu Puran and if you look at Mahabharata, you cannot find a single, you cannot single out a river or the plateau or the mountain of the country which has not been mentioned there. So India had a territorial map in the mind, and that is why when Gandhi was writing in 1909, Hindu Swaraj, he is saying that before coming off the Britishers, India was a nation. India was one unit, that is why the British could have one empire. This is not the RSS teaching. This is what Gandhi is talking about there. Second point I am talking about, look at Swadeshi. Gandhi and RSS both fall on the same page as far as Swadeshi is concerned. Look at the national language question. Again, on the issue of Sanskrit, on the issue of Hindi, Gandhi and RSS stand on the same position. Look at religious conversion issues. Both Gandhi and RSS stand on the same page. Look at identifying India as a civilizational state and not in the terms of finding India in the idioms of the West or in the idioms of the Western narrative. Both Gandhi and RSS fall on the same page. Look at understanding of India's Varna system and eradication of the untouchability.
Right.
I think both Gandhi and RSS fall on the same page. Where was the difference? The difference was only on the one question, and that was the Hindu-Muslim relation. Gandhi disproportionately leaned towards assuaging the feelings of the Muslim that led to critiquing him. And this critic came not only from RSS but also from Ambedkar, that he resorted to Muslim appeasement. Here is the one where both Gandhi failed to understand the negativity of the pan-Islamism, and ultimately the country was divided. Look at, I am quoting, in 1942, there was C.R. Raja formula in which the partition was in the Madras Legislative Assembly, partition formula was in fact introduced and passed. Secondly, after Quit India movement, when Gandhi was in jail, C. Rajagopala met him, and Gandhi agreed to this partition theory according to the C. Raja formula. And after release from the jail, 21 times Gandhi met Jinnah and discussed about this issue. Now, this history was never taught to the citizens of this country.
Okay.
This is never taught how Islamic radicalism finally led to partition of this country, how Islamic separatism led to the partition of this country, and unfortunately, why I am mentioning this, the two-nation theory can be attributed to what Sir Syed talked about in 1887 and 1888 in Meerut and Lucknow. So, why this history should not be rewritten, I am saying. A kind of a narrative was built after post-independent India. That's this historian, and they must be countered. The time has come to replace them by the real history of this country. They have always been negated, and I am again quoting E.H. Carr, no history is an objective history. They in fact distorted the history.
All right.
Just put the notification of Bengal government that don't give the reality of what happened during the medieval.
Absolutely. Many thanks for your opening comments. I'm just thinking it, from the perspective of the student out there. It seems to be like a, really long history lesson for them as well. And come next dispensation, it's going to change again. There is corrections that's going to be made. I'm also trying to understand the learning outcome and the assessment, because that is what pedagogy is about. We have an educationist with us on the broadcast as well. But before that, Somnath Bharti, spokesperson for the Aam Aadmi Party. How do you respond to what the professor here is talking about? And what does Saurabh Bhardwaj actually mean when he says there's no harm in introducing and integrating RSS into our curriculum, but then make sure that nothing is left out, that the students are not lied to? What is the problem? I mean, the Aam Aadmi Party and the opposition have collectively called it indoctrination. But what is so vehemently wrong in introducing RSS in our textbooks?
No, see, Kabir, it's a good move, but what's the objective? See, Congress wrote the history as per their convenience. What exactly they wanted to bring it to the notice of the countrymen, and possibly whatever was not suitable to them. Let's say, for example, legacy of Subhash Chandra Bose was not suitable to them. So the people out there in the beginning, they ensured that Subhash Chandra Bose is not shown as a hero, or possibly Bhagat Singh, but still, the people of India, they did everything under the sun to ensure that Subhash Chandra Bose or Bhagat Singh both are projected as heroes of the nation.
Yes.
Till date, Bhagat Singh has not been declared as a Shaheed in the history, in the books of Government of India. Now, let's come to RSS. So, RSS so far, since its founding in 1925 and until independence 1947, they maintained a deliberate distance from the anti-British struggle. Why was it? So will they be writing this in the textbooks? That they deliberately opted not to be a part of the independence struggle. Will they also be writing in the textbook that for 50 odd years, they did not hoist the Indian national flag in the headquarters of Nagpur RSS? So they need to be speaking truth. So are they going on this path, or they're trying to now sort of doing this cover up so that the people of India, they get projected something different for the RSS. Number 3, see, Nathuram Godse was an RSS man who killed Mahatma Gandhi. So will they be saying so? They had been sort of showing Nathuram Godse as a hero to the nation. So they need to be clear about it. So that's what my colleague Saurabh Bhardwaj said.
Okay.
They need to speak truth.
Okay.
When you speak about an organization, please do not become sort of Congress.
And that's exactly when we start walking on eggshells, isn't it, Mr. Bharti? Because you see, what is the truth is that the jury is still out on what is actually the truth. Donald Trump posts his truths every other night and then he walks back on them as well. What is the truth? That's one thing. And why should our youngsters, our students, be bothered about two political ideologies fighting it out, whether what's the truth? And we're all trying to suffocate them with this quote-unquote truth. We have an educationist with us also on the broadcast. Dr. Gupta, you know, as an educator, what challenges do you foresee in implementing something like this? Something that is so politically charged, something that is so politically sensitive into a curriculum, that too in a classroom with impressionable minds. I mean, where do the young kids draw the line whether what is civic education and what is indoctrination?
Absolutely. I agree with you that the educationists across the country are not subscribing to it. They are not very happy with what is happening.
Why so? Why so, doctor? Why so? I mean, can you give us bullet points as to why they're not happy?
Because education is not about the political ideologies. The political ideologies are talked about in the families on the dinner table. We all know that it is very, very personal to each family and to each person. What political ideology does a family or a person has. Now, today's child is not just dependent on the information that is carried on the books or is given in the classroom. There is exposure all around the children. Yep. There is media, there's internet, there are OTTs, there is so-called information on the social media as well. So every person information. Now, if we are going to teach or we are going to push the ideologies in the classroom, that's not going to be very good, because we are going to raise a generation which is going to be biased, which is not going to be good for the development or the growth of the country. We should focus on STEM education. Today, India is at a stage where STEM education is more important for the children. The historical facts are important, but you know what critical analysis is to be done out of those facts should be dependent upon what the child
That's exactly what I was getting to. What is the learning assessment? How does a child imbibe a new set of knowledge? What does it do with it? That's also important for us.
Very important. So today, when we are talking about the new national education policy, or when we are talking about the new curriculum framework, we are talking about the skills. The cognitive knowledge or the information is not as important as the skills of communication, collaboration, critical thinking and creativity. These are the 4 skills that have been outlined in the NEP and in the NCF. So the factual, yes, of course, we have people like, we've had stalwarts in the past like, the Rabindranath Tagore, we've had Gandhiji. We've been given a lot of educational philosophies through Gijubai Patel. So we should be looking at those, not at the political ideologies that are coming up now.
All right.
Today one party is ruling, tomorrow another party will rule.
That's exactly my point. And parties will keep coming and keep changing. The idea is that we need to have a base foundation for that curriculum which needs to be strong enough and accepted by all. And when two political ideologues are facing each other back to back and the jury is still out as to what is the quote-unquote truth, why should our students suffer and worry about that? Karan Verma, political analyst, also with us on the broadcast. How do you see this, Mr. Verma? Do you see Delhi's move as purely educational as an initiative, or is it a political signaling? I'm again asking the same question because I'm more interested in the learning outcome and the objectives of assessment. It is going to impact the teachers, it's going to impact the institutions, it's going to impact the students at large as well. And on top of it all, you have two political ideologues that are constantly at loggerheads with each other. So, according to you, what's really at play? Is this a non-issue? Is this an issue? And if this is, how do we deal with it?
So, at the outset, we have two educationists on the panel, Dr. Ragi and Dr. Gupta. I think they'll all agree that the main purpose of education is to make sure that you know how to think rather than what exactly to think. It shapes up your attitude and values, and when you are uprooted from your past, when you have little knowledge about where you're coming from, and you have this self-loathing and self-debasement attitude, you are not really able to think that objectively. I think unfortunately what has happened in our case, in our education system, is we've been completely uprooted from the truths. We've had one ideology peddled across to us, which has conditioned us in a way where we've believed for a large part that we've been a very unscientific community. Nobody has talked about the Brihadeshwar Mandir, which is an architectural marvel. Show me textbooks which talk about Brihadeshwar Mandir. Show me textbooks which talk about the Konark Sun Temple. If we are going to be fed distorted facts, distorted stuff, not even facts, then we are going to raise a generation that is completely directionless. I agree with ma'am that STEM education is important, but so is arts and humanities. And we cannot be living in a political vacuum. I mean, we'll be naive if we say we are in a political vacuum. We don't want a generation that is making politically ill-informed decisions. Lay the truth out there and make sure they have an objective viewpoint of everything. If lies is peddled, Kabir, then I don't know what kind of generation we are raising. So let's not be naive when we say, oh, we have two ideologues and they are suffering in it. No, they are not suffering in it. They are maturing, they are evolving by knowing both sides of the spectrum. That is the whole endeavor of education, and that's what learning is all about.
Yeah.
We should know where we've come from. If we are fed this history that Akbar was great and we are not told that Akbar slaughtered 30,000 Hindus, which he accepts, then that is our mistake. We can't be having a myopic or a one-eyed view of it just because we want things to be goody good and secular. No, we have to be objective, we have to be truthful. Just as Somnath Bharti ji just said, we need to know the truth about Subhash Chandra Bose ji. They are our heroes. There's so much we can learn and imbibe from them. Similarly, our history back then was pretty much one-sided, and there's ample evidence to show that. Today, if we are talking about RSS, which is the largest social organization, by the way, in the world, 3.2 million students they are educating on a consistent basis. So much stuff they are doing for Vanvasi Kalyan Ashram and other places. That needs to be told to the students how this organization is functioning, which has given us 2 prime ministers. So that's the whole idea of it. I don't know what's wrong in it. In fact, this should be welcomed.
Well, all right. No, even the Aam Aadmi Party, Delhi chief said that, we welcome it, but we're just worried about how facts are going to be distorted on that particular front. Professor Ragi, how do you respond to what the educationist on the panel was just telling us? I know you are one yourself. What Dr. Gupta was telling us as to, how the teachers' fraternity seems to be a little rattled. I can understand when new change comes in, there is some sort of, discomfort when something new is about to happen or per se is on the cards. Why do you think, they're feeling that way, and of course your viewpoints on what Mr. Somnath Bharti had to say?
They are feeling. One thing is clear that to my mind, when because I teach the graduate students when I taught for 18 years in college and then university. When I teach master student and PhD or MPhil student, we understand that they are completely cut off from the reality. Nobody knows about the Indian history. They have no sense of history. Let me say one thing. The ancient Greek had only 12 to 14,000 manuscripts in their hand. But you start anything, whether it is democracy or eugenics, you always go back to Plato and Aristotle. Right. This is the fallacy of our education system. Our ancient, ever since the time of Gutenberg, when the printing presses started, we have 6 million books published so far. Our ancient manuscripts are around 4 millions, means 40 lakhs. And this is after burning of Nalanda and Taxila library, 8-storey library. The problem with the school education, which I say that this has failed, It is not always about mathematics, teaching mathematics. The pedagogy at the school is completely, ruining this country where you just have a rote learning, mugging up and vomiting out in the examination. This is not about learning. The education has 4 pillars. 1, education must be innovative. When I say that the university, the school should be the breeding ground of ideas, unfortunately, this hasn't happened. Second, the education must be connected to the problem of the nation, the history of the nation, the challenges of the nation. Third, that it must give you the skill so that you can get food, you can get employed in the market.
Absolutely.
So, if you ignore any part of that, you simply say that a stem cell or a skill, that is not only essential.
Okay, so there's major fallacy. It's completely failed. We need a complete revamp of this education system. I don't know. I never questioned how I was educated, and maybe I do need to revisit that. Mr. Bharti, I'm completely running out of time here. Last 30 seconds, please.
See, when you want to rewrite the history, you must speak truth. See, Patel, I'm failing to understand, will they be able to write this? What Sardar Patel said about RSS in 1948, that to root out the forces of hate and violence, and that's how he imposed a government ban on RSS. So will they write all this in the history of RSS? That's the big question. So they should not maneuver the truth, what is suitable to them. That's why, tomorrow they may write, we can make tea from the gases emanating from the storms, from the drains. So, you need to speak truth. If you have the that kind of belief in yourself, so please go ahead, but speak truth about RSS in the books when you write it.
Okay, let's hope that good sense prevails. Final say to Dr. Jyoti Gupta. Dr. Gupta, coming to you, how is this now going to affect the teachers? Please exercise brevity, not a lot of time left, last 30 seconds.
So the teachers will have to prepare, they will have to know the facts themselves, they will have to be trained in order to bring it into the classrooms. It's not going to be a very easy task. Anyways, the times that we are living in just now, they are more concept driven than the content driven. Content should be left to the choice of the educationists is what I will say.
All right.
It should not be politicized, and the facts should be brought forward, and the children should be taught how to critically think and how to apply the knowledge that they're gaining in the class.
All right.
Just one appeal I want to make, Kavi. They should also put a chapter on Anna Hazare. If they're going to rewrite the history anyway.
Yeah, see, this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I'm talking about. The student out there should be able to choose what ideologue or what idol they want to, pursue and follow.
Absolutely.
You should give them the options. But this Rashtra on every first and third Saturday, it's got a feel of an overhaul of a situation. I think we're going to leave it right here. The PCR telling me to shut the show at the moment, but this does need a revisit, because a complete overhaul, is this actual civic education, or is this actually setting the record straight? There seems to be a line that's continuously blurring between this, and our students are going to end up paying the price for this. That's all the time we have for you in this edition of In Your Interest. Many thanks for watching. Top developments right on the other side.
ये वाला तो गुगली है,
वो वाला
ये वाला तो सिक्सर है।
कौन सा फ्लेवर बिजनेस बढ़ाएगा? ये खूबसूरत चिंता आप करिए। बिजनेस लोन की चिंता हम संभाल लेंगे विद कोलैटरल फ्री लोन एंड टेन्योर अप टू 7 years।
TV9 फेस्टिवल ऑफ इंडिया 2025 दिल्ली में मचेगा धमाल। दिल्ली वासियों तैयार हो जाइए एक शानदार अनुभव के लिए। इस नवरात्रि 28 सितंबर से 2 अक्टूबर तक इंडिया गेट के पास मेजर ध्यानचंद राष्ट्रीय स्टेडियम में TV9 फेस्टिवल ऑफ इंडिया 2025 लेकर आ रहा है मस्ती, उल्लास और ढेर सारा जोश। डांडिया नाइट में थिरकने का आनंद लें, शान और सचेत परंपरा के धमाकेदार लाइव कॉन्सर्ट में झूम उठें। नवरात्रि, दुर्गा पूजा और दशहरा के रंग बिरंगे जश्न में डूब जाएं। लजीज व्यंजनों का स्वाद चखें और लाइफस्टाइल एक्सपो में फ्री एंट्री के साथ शॉपिंग का मजा भी लें। अपने दोस्तों, परिवार या खास लोगों को साथ जरूर लाएं और इस फेस्टिवल को बनाएं यादगार। सुबह 10 बजे से शुरू होने वाले इस मेगा उत्सव के टिकट बुक माई शो पर बुक करें और तैयार हो जाइए दिल्ली के सबसे बड़े जश्न का हिस्सा बनने के लिए। TV9 फेस्टिवल ऑफ इंडिया 2025, जहां हर पल है उत्सव और हर बीट पर है मस्ती।
Presented by Hero MotoCorp. Special partner Lyra Women's Wear. Leggings वो जो लायरा हो।
Philips, सोने पे सुहागा।
पोलो एलिवेटर्स, स्मार्ट भारत की स्मार्ट लिफ्ट।
हम यहाँ जान पे खेल रहे हैं, तू फोन पे खेल रहा है।
अरे पापा की गाड़ी का इंश्योरेंस रिन्यू कर रहा हूँ।
बड़े शौकीन पापा है, इतनी बड़ी गाड़ी।
तो एको से कराना।
क्यों?
क्योंकि जितनी बड़ी गाड़ी
एको पर उतना ज्यादा फायदा।
नहीं फटा।
अब